What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball discussion video, and joining me here today to tackle this discussion is a subscriber of mine who is now a good friend and a very passionate Dragon Ball fan whose viewpoints I find to be very intriguing and unique. Please welcome Emish. Now, right off the bat, Emish, let's talk about some of the weirdness going on within Dragon Ball Super, beginning with Zamasu. Now, I wanted to bring this to your attention, and I wanted to bring this to the audience's attention as well. We know that in order for Zamasu to become immortal, he must gather the super giant Dragon Balls in order to make that wish come true. And I don't know if this is an error on Toei's end and Akira Toriyama, but if you and anyone else can recall, back when Champa was gathering the Dragon Balls, Beerus brought this to his attention and said the God of Universe, the God of Destruction of Universe 6 has no business being in this universe. Hence, in order to gather the Dragon Balls, one must visit both universes to do so. So my question to you is, based on everything that we saw thus far in this specific arc, how come Champa and Varus, similar to when Beerus and Whis bumped into them, were not aware of Zamasu visiting their universe to gather these Dragon Balls? I mean, we know that the Dragon Balls are spread throughout both universes, so why is it that nobody from Universe 6, do you think, spoke out about this?
That's a tricky question, honestly. I think there's two ways to look at it. I don't think, honestly, to be honest, for the first, as far as the present timeline goes, honestly don't really know why the hell they wouldn't have noticed it. It's something, I think it was an error on Toriyama's part. I really believe that. I truly believe it. I think it's a major inconsistency. As far as like the future timeline goes, probably, I would assume that the gods of destruction don't really exist there. To our knowledge, I think Beerus is dead. If I'm correct, I think.
Right, because in manga chapter 16, it was stated that, from Black at least, when he spoke about the outside universes, he spoke that every single god of destruction is dead, including the most troublesome of all, that being Beerus, which again, we'll talk about a little after. But I found it a bit weird, because we noticed that when Beerus, bumped into Champa, he was like, what are you doing here? And the giant Dragon Balls are scattered throughout both universes. They're not technically located in one universe, hence why Bulma had to go visit Zuno to ask him about the Dragon Balls and stuff. People tend to forget that, but it just baffles me how nobody from Universe 6 happened to catch a glimpse of Zamasu gathering the Dragon Balls, because these things are the size of planets. So I wanted to ask you, do you think, in your opinion, this was either an inconsistency or an error, or perhaps maybe Champa was too distracted, because keep in mind, his Earth was resurrected by Beerus, so
yeah,
maybe he's
right.
distracted by
You're
the
right.
food there and stuff? What do you think?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I just remembered that. Yeah, he was probably picking out with Vados on Earth. But I mean, all joking aside, I would think Zamasu had an advantage over Champa, given the fact that he had Zuno tell him where the Dragon Balls are. So I think he had a more, he had an advantage in terms of the time it took to collect them. Maybe he slipped under the radar or whatever. Again, I don't think it's something really, to really dive into as far as the storyline goes. But I absolutely agree with you. I think it's a major inconsistency. I think gods of destruction should be aware of what's going on in their universe, especially if someone from the outside universe is coming in. But to be fair, the only reason Beerus even knew about Champa being in his universe is because they just happened to be at the same place at the same time. So given that, maybe, again, Zamasu had that advantage. He had Zuno tell him the locations of each and every Dragon Ball. Granted, that's if Zuno knew about them. And if, granted that I believe in the episode that just passed, Zamasu did die, so we could assume that maybe he didn't even have a chance to grant the actual wish. So he was destroyed by Beerus in the actual episode, so maybe he didn't find them yet.
And this is the tricky part about what you just said. Now, in the future timeline, the God of Destruction of Universe 7 is dead, right? Now, it's kind of weird, because Beerus spoke about this in episode 59 when he told Trunks and Goku that if a god destroys another god, they should not exist in any other timeline, which is kind of weird, because we have present-day Zamasu who's dead, but future Zamasu is alive, whereas opposed to present-day Beerus is alive, but future Beerus is dead. So why do you think that is? Why do you believe that Zamasu still exists in the future? I mean, because we saw during episode 59 when Goku spoke about this towards Zamasu, when he told him that in the future he practically achieved his wish, and we saw how Zamasu was pretty much laughing and gloating about the fact that he finally realized that his wish came true. And when he told Goku there's no reason for me to fall in this place. A lot of fans were maybe suggesting that at that moment, it didn't really matter if he was alive or dead, because he realized that in the future he was alive and he must have gained immortality and he must have achieved his dream, so there's no reason to fall in that location. So why do you think that is? Why do you think that Zamasu exists in the future but is dead in the present, but also Beerus exists in the past but yet is dead in the future? Does that not affect the timeline here? Because Beerus practically told everyone that if a god kills another god, they shouldn't exist in an alternate timeline. But at the same time, we can make the argument that Zamasu is not a god. He was simply supposed to be a Kaioshin in training. He was supposed to be an apprentice, assumed to be Kaioshin of Universe 10. So doesn't that strike you a little odd that he's alive in the future? And I want to know, like, why do you think that is? Is it because of the immortality wish, or is there something more that we're not seeing here? I mean, maybe perhaps in order for Zamasu to truly die off, Gowasu might die, because I know certain people brought that up, saying that so as long as Gowasu's alive, Zamasu can't perish, because that Gowasu is the real Supreme Kai. So what do you think is going on here?
That's a lot of stuff to answer, man. Okay, let's take let's try to go step by step. So, Zamasu, he told Goku. First of all, Goku's an idiot for even telling him everything that he knows.
It's Goku, bro. Goku would do anything.
Yeah. And let me just put it out there while I have the chance. I absolutely despise how they made him such a complete idiot in this series. Not even just the art, but just...
You're talking about Goku, right?
Goku,
Why
correct.
is that?
Listen, like, almost every episode, he does things that, to me, from what I saw, back in Dragon Ball, even Dragon Ball Z, he's acting like a little kid again. It looks like he's acting like a little kid, but, that being, all of that being put aside, maybe it's just a personal preference of mine. I think he's just a little too childish, if you ask me. Right. He's just an idiot. He just blurts out things he's not supposed to, and he knows he's not supposed to blurt them out, but he does it anyway. But going back to what you were saying, as far as Zamasu, he was happy to know, like, basically, that he did realize his dream. And I think the reason he was saying that there's no reason for him to fall here is because it gave him more motivation, if anything.
Right.
If anything, right? To say, well, you know what? Now I have more of a reason not to do my best and not to die here. Because now I know that in the future timeline, my dream has been realized. So that means basically I have everything I have planned is pretty much, good to go. It's everything is set in motion. The only difference, though, and I think it's the main pivotal difference, is that in the future timeline, generally, there really wasn't a Goku to begin with. And there wasn't a Beerus. There wasn't a Whis. There pretty much wasn't any character that you're seeing in the present timeline. Other than, maybe Gowasu, but he probably died off because Zamasu killed him in the future timeline. But all these people, all these, these roadblocks that he had did not exist in the future. So those are the only things really standing in his way with pretty much Beerus, Whis, and Goku. But given that they're alive in the present timeline, at this point, obviously you did see he tried to strike down Goku with that little, hand saber thing that he has, and that was it. But up until Beerus came and pretty much said, well, okay, Hakai, he just completely obliterated him. And on top of that, we can see that the way he destroyed him wasn't in a typical, Beerus fashion. He didn't blow him up. He didn't hit him with an energy beam. He just simply, stated a command.
He sent him to the Shadow Realm, bro. That was the end of him.
Exactly. And the way he did it tells us that was an authoritative. It shows his authority as the god of destruction. He has that power. And he actually stated it that, okay, if Zamasu was caught guilty of doing this, I will destroy him. And he simply said it just like that. And the way he actually destroyed him was, pretty much literally.
More than fitting, because, he just destroyed, exactly. Yeah. So
we can see that he does have that ability. So the fact that he was able to kill him maybe tells us that, okay, Zamasu did not actually grant the wish, because actually he confirmed it when he said, okay, well, if I realize my dream in the future, no reason for me to fall here. Meaning, he's on his way. That gives him that boost. But, alas, Goku was there, Beerus was there, he got wrecked, and that's that. Now you fast forward to the future. Perhaps we can, if you haven't noticed, and I'm pretty sure you have, because you're pretty good at this. I mean, you've been doing this for a while.
Thank you.
And to anybody else who hasn't, I would say that you can already tell that Beerus is not very savvy when it comes to knowledge or wisdom in general. I think his main source of knowledge comes from Whis, and maybe even the Oracle Fish. I'll just throw the Oracle Fish in there. Why not? Because he's a cute little bird. But Whis is pretty much the primary source of knowledge when it comes to anything. Beerus is just, he's just a wrecking ball from what we've seen. So Beerus, even though he said, yeah, well, if a god destroys something in any timeline, he's describing pretty much his authority. Like, listen, I'm a god, so if a mortal destroys something, that's a completely different story. Hence the androids that Trunks mentioned.
Right.
If a god does something, it has to affect the timeline. The translation said it's gotta or it has to. I'm not sure if that was, an exact translation, if it's the exact word or term being used, but he said it's gotta affect the timeline, meaning he's pretty confident that it has to affect the timeline. However, future Zamasu is already immortal. We know that. He has an undying body. So it's pretty much like an Inception kind of thing there. It's like, okay, well, if President Zamasu is dead, does that mean future Zamasu dies? Well, not really, because he already granted the wish from the Super Dragon Balls, which I think, in my opinion, have a higher, it's not battle power like, strength, but have a higher magical source of power than Beerus does. Beerus can't grant wishes, but the Super Dragon Balls, I mean, look how big that thing was. I mean,
and it's practically limitless in a way. You can pretty much create any wish. Yeah.
So you can see that magic it's on a completely different scale. It has nothing to do with power. It's just ruling. So granted that Zamasu does have that wish in play in the future, I don't see why it would be that much of a surprise as to why Zamasu isn't dead. We already know that Zamasu is Zamasu, so it doesn't matter where he is. But because he's immortal, he can't die. Obviously, then maybe my theory as to maybe a god of destruction is allowed to destroy someone who is immortal. I could have been wrong about that.
That's the problem, is combating someone who's immortal. Now, I wanted to get your take on this because we don't really know as of right now how to defeat someone who's immortal, because I don't think in Dragon Ball we've ever come across anyone who is practically immortal. Frieza came close to it, but Frieza was never immortal. We can also make the argument that maybe someone like the Omni King, who exists outside of the realm of existence, is possibly immortal. But aside from that, we have a character now, a villain, who is immortal. We saw that as Trunks unleashed a Super Saiyan 2 version of a Final Flash right to his face, and he stabbed him. And also, people tend to forget, Zamasu took Black Goku's Kamehameha Wave as he held both Goku and Trunks in his arms and survived. We saw how Goku and Trunks, after that, they were finished, bro. Like, they did not get up. And Zamasu was there. He was functioning pretty fine, and that's because of, I think, the immortality that he has behind him. So my question to you is, since the gods of destruction are no longer in existence in the present, well, in the future universe, and we do understand that in order to possibly combat someone who is of an immortal tier, do you think that more so now than ever, we need the likes of Beerus and Whis to get involved here? Because not only does Zamasu challenge the authority figure of the humans and the Saiyans, but he also challenges the rankings of gods, because his plan, the Zero Mortals plan, is to wipe out not only humans and ninjas or whatever, but to also wipe out the gods who have granted knowledge to the humans, in which case the humans have used that knowledge for evil purposes, as Zamasu says. And what's crazy here is you can actually make the argument and say that maybe Zamasu is right when it comes to like real life stuff, because in real life, us humans, we're not the most polite, we're not the most caring. We have wars in real life. We practically hate each other because of religion and stuff like that. So Zamasu uses that philosophy to say humans are bad because they're always violent. Now, one can make the assumption and say, well, he has a point, or maybe he's wrong. But now, more so now than ever, being that Goku is not immortal, Vegeta is not immortal, nor is Trunks, and we have someone like Beerus getting involved here, do you ever see him going into the future and possibly putting an end to this? I mean, just showing up and saying, wait a minute, I thought I destroyed you. I thought I just completely eradicated you from existence. How are you still alive? And I can definitely see someone like Zamasu and Black just looking at Beerus and saying, you're a part of the problem, because you, who is a ranking of a god tier, is helping mere mortals for what? Like, you're supposed to be an authoritative figure. Why are you getting involved in, like, simple mortal actions and stuff? Like, why are you friends with Goku? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I can definitely see Zamasu and Black trying to kind of challenge Beerus and say, well, your existence doesn't matter because you're a part of the problem. So what's your take on Beerus ever having to go in the future and at least either A, observe the actions of Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, Black, and Zamasu, or even B, getting involved in having more or less a battle with either Zamasu, Black, or both, because he's been itching for a fight this entire time. We spoke about this off camera, and more so now than ever, he has not just one, but two opponents. One who is equal to Goku in strength, if not stronger, and the other who is practically immortal. So how do you see this going about in the future?
As far as Beerus, I don't want to talk about Whis because I honestly don't see Whis getting involved as far
me either.
as combat is concerned.
Sadly enough, I think he's way above this. I honestly, if we were to put Whis up against Zamasu or Black, I think, in my opinion, Whis dominates.
Yeah, definitely. It's no contest. I don't think so. That guy's awesome. I mean, he'll just sign their, he'll just put his autograph on their clothes.
Two fingers, that's it, man.
Yeah, exactly. Put them down. But all kidding aside, I can't see Beerus getting involved in anything that has to do with time travel.
Really?
And the reason for that is because, see, us fans, we want that, right? Inside, I honestly believe I'm not going to get to see that, and the reason is because they've stated that pretty much they've shown that Beerus is terrified of the Omni King.
Right.
That guy is just terrified of him. He knows it's against the rules to do it. If the Omni King finds out, something's gonna happen. It doesn't matter what his reason for doing it was, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I think based on that alone, and based on the episode leaks, which I'm sure you end up talking about,
yes,
as the conversation progresses, we pretty much can see that Vegeta and Trunks are probably gonna get a spotlight soon, and then it might just end up being the whole Goku show again, if anything. I do believe though that Whis and Beerus will have a pivotal role in everything though. They might discover something, they might be able to tell. But if they do happen to travel, with them, I would love to see that. I'd be happy. But given the preview that we just got for the episode that just passed, we only see Trunks, I believe Trunks, Vegeta, and Goku going into the future.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget Bulma as well.
Bulma goes as well. Yeah. So not knowing that actually Zamasu and Black is still alive. So actually, that's what I read from the upcoming episode. But
right.
I don't see Beerus getting involved as far as combat's concerned. Neither Whis. However, I think Beerus. We might have seen the last of Beerus as far as fighting is concerned.
Really?
And I think so, man. The way he destroyed Zamasu, it wasn't epic. It wasn't this big, oh my god, a whole episode versus Beerus, a Beerus going crazy and just unleashing hell on the Kaioshins or whatever for what they're doing. But, he just comes up to Zamasu, kills him, and then that's it. I think that's all we're going to get. Because we want to see Beerus fight so bad, I think, I just don't see us, I really don't think we're going to get it, man. Honestly.
Well, the reason why I might agree with you partially is because he doesn't really have a direct reason, because keep in mind, this is not really his fight, but then again, it's bad enough not seeing Ciampa fight, because we've always wanted to see him fight, and we got a small glimpse when he fought his brother by the table until Whis and Varu stopped it, but I think more so now this definitely involves him in the future because he doesn't exist. I feel as if the Omni King had put these Gods of Destructions in the authority role, because they should be the ones to handle the job of, destroying, while the, Kaioshin have the role of creating. So I think that the future timeline is definitely disrupted, and in terms of the Omni King, people might be asking, well, how come he won't get involved? I think that, as we spoke about, before off camera, I think that the Omni King is omnipresent, so I do feel as if he's aware of what's going on, but he doesn't have to get involved directly, because keep in mind, I feel as if maybe he knows about this, similar to the Universal God of Destruction tournament when he was watching Hit fight Goku. He was there the entire time. Did we know that? No. Did the gods know that? No. Did the attendees know that? No. Nobody knew he was there. And finally he showed up. He was like, good fight. So who's to really say that the Omni King isn't watching this and just simply rooting for Goku, saying, go Goku, because that's his friend now. In terms of him getting involved, I don't see the Omni King getting involved. Maybe after this arc is finished, he might show up and say, hey, so I heard about everything that's been going on. Good fight, get ready for this Omni tournament, whatever. But I don't see the Omni King getting directly involved, because the only reason why I feel as if the Omni King should ever get involved is if the multiverse is in jeopardy. Now, going back to his residence home, it's like where he resides, we see that all the universes are kind of placed above these stone like figures, and I do feel as if there is nothing that happens that the Omni King is not aware of. So I do think he's aware of this, which is why he places people like Beerus and Ciampa as those authority figures, that if something big were to happen, those authority figures have more so reason in the world to step in and correct that, or at least fix the problems that are going on. And in the future, everything is messed up because all 12 gods are dead. We have nobody who's around. We don't know what the Omni King is doing. We don't know what the attendees are doing. So I feel as if this gives Beerus more of a reason to be like, all right, well, you just messed up you just messed up the entire timeline here. If I'm not alive here, how could there be a balance? Because there's no balance. Without destruction, there can't be creation, and without creation, there can't be destruction. So, towards the end of this, you're saying you don't see Beerus fighting at all. He has no pivotal role in getting involved in this. So you're saying at the end of the day, between Trunks, Vegeta, and Goku, one of those three are definitely going to be the main heroes that come out of this arc.
Well, I said Beerus will probably have a pivotal role as far as support. I just don't see
in terms of combat.
But not in combat.
No, okay.
I don't. I mean, I want it. I'm speaking as a fan. And if I said yeah, he has to. That's me speaking as a fan.
Right.
You know, anybody would say that as a fan because Beerus is awesome. I mean, the only time we saw him do anything was when he fought Goku. But honestly, I don't think that's enough to introduce a character that early into the into the series.
And they teased this with the whole Monaka suit, but he was holding back a lot.
I mean, and even that he was doing great. I was really happy to see it. But you pretty much answered your own question, man. I think honestly, I mean, you had no. Honestly, I mean that whole statement was spot on because there's a couple things to look at now, right? If questions aside, but just discussion as far as discussion is concerned, there's a couple things we need to look at, right? So the future, there's no God of Destruction.
No.
Right? All the gods of destructions, and it's weird because only the gods of destructions are the ones that are dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But Zamasu is speaking of these gods who gave the Ningans or the humans knowledge. So I don't know if the gods of destruction is the one giving the knowledge, and I don't know because their job is to destroy, not to give knowledge or not to do anything else.
And doesn't that strike you as a little odd that they're all dead?
Exactly. So with them being dead, it tells us that okay, well, as far as seeing maybe a Universe 6 merge, maybe Champa comes or whatever, this and that. The only way I could see that happening is because when Beerus mentioned when he used the Super Dragon Balls to wish for Champa to have his own Earth and his own universe, he specifically said, I only did it so he would owe me one.
Exactly, yes, he does owe him one.
So he does owe him one. And we haven't seen Champa since then, right? So it would be nice to see, because it does look like this series, or this arc actually, is shaping up to be a more battle of the gods. Hence, basically, the movie that came out was, Goku versus Beerus.
Right.
It was Battle of the Gods. Ironically enough, it seems that this is what it's shaping out to be, but on a much broader scale.
Involving time and yeah, you're right.
Correct. And that's what bothers me though. The whole time travel thing is really hard to discuss because so many things can happen. I honestly think, again, I feel like we might end up discussing it further on in the conversation, but I might as well bring it up now while it's in my head before I forget.
Shoot.
So I honestly believe Black, if you look at Black, how he was introduced.
Yes.
Right? It was speculated on the actual TV show, and Whis and Beerus was speculating that Zamasu used the Super Dragon Balls to create a servant with the power of Son Goku. Okay, so hence we get a picture of Black Goku. But if you look at him, the way he was introduced, everything he's wearing, everything that he has, he was introduced that way. I'm not sure if it was the developers being lazy, but he already had the Patara earrings, right? Which I think that was a design flaw because that was Zamasu in the present timeline who didn't have Patara earrings. But when they introduced Black Goku in the present timeline, speculation-wise, he already had the Patara earring on his left ear. That's one. It didn't show his lower half of the body, so obviously we know he didn't have the time ring then. I think he did, but they just didn't show that section of his body. Another thing to take into consideration is the fact that how come Black has the time ring and Zamasu doesn't? That's one thing, right? So now that we have that in our head, obviously that tells me that Black, even though he knows maybe you can't go to the past, other than that one minor fluke that happened when he followed Trunks, that was just a fluke. We know that. How come he's the only one with the time ring? Only Kaioshin is supposed to have it. Zamasu and Black are breaking rules left and right. There's no, and you're absolutely right about the whole future timeline. There's no balance, right? Which is, I would agree with you in that sense as to why Beerus would have a reason to fight.
Right.
But I do believe honestly that is the Omni King's job, or the upper tier of God's levels, of their class.
Right.
That's their job to maintain balance. Now that this is where I see a major inconsistency in the series or in this arc is because the future is completely trashed. There's nothing happening. There's no creation. There's only destruction.
There's no authority.
And it's not happening by gods of destruction. They're all wiped out, right?
Yeah.
So other than maybe Champa assisting Beerus because he does owe him one in some way or something of that nature, I honestly don't see Beerus having that pivotal role as far as combat's concerned. But going back to Black Goku, he is the only one with the time ring, and it's because of that I feel like he has been doing a lot more dirty work than what we've been
for Zamasu, right?
Exactly. I think he's doing something, and I can see him going rogue. And I just want to throw it out there quickly before I forget. How do we deal with somebody who's immortal? The way I'm going to answer that question might stir up another big discussion, but I honestly see this happening. Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks can't kill Zamasu. He can't die.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But Black's been doing so much homework. He's been getting stronger. He has no interest in being immortal.
Nope.
Right? He has absolutely no interest. He said this power with infinite potential is satisfactory for me. That doesn't either he's so strong that he's blind, or he knows something. or he's been doing something with the time ring that maybe even Zamasu doesn't know about, right? I see him going completely rogue, and I see him finding a way to get rid of Zamasu.
Really?
I'm gonna say that now because there's no other way for Zamasu to die other than maybe if they get the Super Dragon Balls
by getting killed by his own servant.
I mean, well then again, in the preview says he isn't a fake Goku.
Yeah, Goku said because when they went back there, Goku was like, "Wait a minute, he's not a fake version of me. So who is he?"
Right. So let's look at it this way: Black and Zamasu just happen to have the same agenda.
Yes.
But Black, I think, maybe you can agree with me. Maybe Black's agenda is, I think it's much deeper than just getting rid of humans.
Well, keep in mind, I don't mean to interrupt you, but keep in mind what Zamasu told Black. Black wants, we have proof behind this because when Black fought Goku and Vegeta before Zamasu arrived, he was going to unleash the Kamehameha Wave and get rid of Goku before Zamasu came down. Zamasu stopped him and said, "You promised me that I will have Son Goku." Black said, "Fine, fine." Then when Goku fought Zamasu by the bridge, Black jumped in, and Zamasu came in and he said, "What are you doing? Son Goku and blah blah blah." And Black clearly said, "I can't help it. This body desires him. I want to be the one to slay Black Goku." And then even when they were talking, when they were having tea, Black was talking about how he wants to just grind Goku and just destroy him. And Zamasu said, "Well, you don't want to kill him because you need him around to continuously improve your power. I suggest you become immortal." And Black was like, "Nah, I'm satisfied with this power because I have lots of potential." Now, people are going to misconstrue that. They're going to say, well, Black said he has infinite power. No, he has potential to keep excelling and growing in terms of strengths. Very, very similar to Goku. Now, in terms of him going rogue, you have to ask yourself, well, we can clearly see that Black is getting a little greedy. Now, what do I mean by getting greedy? He wants to kill Goku, and Zamasu kind of wants to keep him around just a little bit. So there's a little bit of like a little bit of tension between those two because Black wants things done his way, Zamasu wants things done his way. And Zamasu even told Black, "We are one and the same." So I think the real puppet master here is Zamasu, clearly going back to Akira's interview when he said the white-haired enemy. So I think that Zamasu is pulling the strings. However, in terms of Black turning on Zamasu, we also have to, ask ourselves, well, why would he do that? And the second question would be, how can you still, even with the powers that he has, how could you destroy an immortal?
He has to know something. There has to be something. I mean, if you look at it, you're the one that brought to my attention. I thought of this actually overnight before we discussed that we were going to sit here together and actually do this discussion, was the fact that Black, I noticed that they're starting to pay a lot more attention to Black and less attention to Zamasu.
You think so?
Zamasu, I think so. The reason I said it is because Black is the one who mentions that, okay, all the gods of destruction, including the most troublesome one, Beerus, is dead. He's the one that's talking about the gods of destruction now. Zamasu doesn't talk about the gods anymore. He's too busy talking about the humans.
Yeah.
Black is looking at a much bigger picture, I think. And I think he's responsible. But I honestly don't believe he's responsible for directly killing them in combat, though. I think he's just murking all of the Kaioshins in the universes. He doesn't seem like a type. I don't think he can stand up to Beerus, honestly.
No, like in terms of power, no, I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so. Beerus is too epic. He's just too much. But with that being, with putting that on the side for a second, Black, I could see it. I honestly believe it. The only way, when you have two people working together and it looks like they have the same plan, the minute one becomes stronger in terms of power and eventually in knowledge, that one usually ends up getting rid of everyone who he doesn't need. Eventually, I do see maybe Black not needing Zamasu anymore. The only person he's going to need alive is Goku. That's just to get stronger. But then after that, then what? What do you do after that, right?
Right.
I mean, there's pretty much nothing left to do, which is why you look at his character. Now we can compare his character to the likes of Beerus, actually, and Goku. He's like Goku because he constantly wants to get stronger, but he's also like Beerus because in the way he handles his, in the way he handles his power, he doesn't drag the fight like Goku does. He will end you in the beginning of the fight the way Beerus would. If you look at it, he fought Vegeta, stabbed him through the chest, done, gone, finished. Trunks didn't last long. Every time he fought Trunks, ended the battle pretty quickly. He's killing people left and right, no problem. He's acting like a god of destruction. Not to say that he is one, but he has no reason to drag any fight off whatsoever. The only reason that I think that the fight between them and Goku, etc., got dragged along was because that's how developers want the story to unfold. But given his character, I think he has a much broader picture as to who, as to what his plan is. I see him turning rogue. I see him going crazy, and I see him being eventually the main villain in this series.
What sucks about that is the fact that I feel the opposite. I feel as if maybe since Zamasu and Black have somewhat of a connection, and it kind of sucks to say this because it would really blow if they went down this route. But what if in order to defeat one, you have to kill the other? Which again is kind of like, all right, so if Zamasu dies, then Black dies because they're one and the same in an essence. And I really don't think that since they've been doing everything together, I think that Black has any sort of reason to turn on Zamasu, not unless he becomes super greedy and super selfish and decides, you know what, I already have what I have, and I don't really care about what you stand for anymore, so, you know, the hell with you. But
I don't mean to cut you off real quick. Just a quick point, though. When Black and Zamasu were talking, Zamasu did tell him that, you know, it might have been a good idea to wish for an immortal body. And just like you said, Black responded by saying, well, and I think I don't want to take it out of context, but it's a strong, again, in your earlier videos, you mentioned paying attention to the dialogue. I strongly agree with that. It's because he says, well, I'm satisfied with this power, and besides, this power is necessary for our plan, or for the Zero Mortals plan to actually come into fruition. He specifically says this power. I don't give a damn about your immortal body. Being immortal has nothing to do with it. You need this power with infinite potential.
And that's why Zamasu said it's kind of ironic that we needed the spirit of immortal. Because keep in mind, guys, people got a little bit confused by that. Zamasu required the powers of Son Goku to embed in this vessel, which is Black, to use that power to, you know, continue his Zero Mortal Plan. Now, you know what strikes me as a little weird, though? Looking at the Zero Mortal Plan title, keep in mind, Zamasu is immortal, Black is not immortal, Black is immortal. So,
you see what I'm saying?
You see what I'm saying? So, like, it's kind of like, what if Zamasu completes his plan and no longer needs Black? Because keep in mind, he's immortal and Black is not. So he's like, well, I simply used you as a vessel to get my plans in check, and now I don't really need you anymore because I have everything I want. I mean, I'm immortal, the humans don't exist. But then again, we can just continue on with this forever because this is such a broad topic.
Because how do you kill Black? Then if you're Zamasu, you're not strong.
No, you're not strong, but you're just immortal, so you can't die. But your strength isn't as high as someone like Black. So, like, it's mind blowing, and I feel as if the writing in this episode was, well, not in the episode, in the entire arc, was done very well. But at the same time, we're nearing the end. Like the writing's on the wall. There is no way that Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks are gonna go back into the future just to get their asses kicked, go back into the past, and then come back in the future. I can't see them do that. I mean, would I want to see that? Maybe.
Something has to happen.
But I think that with Bulma there, this brings a lot of attention to her as well, because what if our, like, the guys, Vegeta, Trunks, and Goku, are responsible for holding off Zamasu, for holding off Black, while Bulma recruits herself with Mai, and they have their own objective, they have their own agenda, either to A, go out there and gather the Dragon Balls in that universe to try to, you know, wish away his immortality, because again, just because Goku is fighting Black again and just because everyone is fighting again doesn't mean that there's no side story, because why else would she be there? Bulma isn't strong. Bulma's not a fighter, dude. Like, so she has to have more of a pivotal reason of being there. So I think that, and she's fucking smart. Nobody can deny that. So what if the whole plan here is to simply buy time? To simply buy time while the guys hold off the enemies. Bulma can rendezvous with all the resistance fighters and with Mai and Yajirobe and everyone else. And maybe she brought some things along with her, because I really doubt that they forgot the fucking senzu beans again, so I'm pretty sure they have them. But I'm also thinking that maybe Bulma didn't come unarmed. Maybe she came with, like, more capsules of a spaceship or something, and she wants to travel out. She wants to see if Zuno is alive. She wants to see what's going on so she can gain information to how, you know, she can have some sort of backup plan to where she can either A, wish for the immortality to run out, because again, in order to kill an immortal, in my opinion, I think that you need the Dragon Balls. I think that the wish has to be undone. And maybe
unless they seal them,
maybe, and that's the thing. We don't even know if the Dragon Balls are still present in that time. There's just a whole lot of, like, you know, things that are just like on and off.
Exactly, because maybe he just used them, right? And maybe a year hasn't passed in the future yet. I think they activate once every year, right?
I just feel like
she's Black is the one with the time ring.
Exactly, and she's there for more of a pivotal reason. And you know what's crazy as well? Having to see Black look at her and you know, he tells Vegeta and Trunks, like, oh, So how would it feel if I murdered your wife and your mother once again in front of you? Like, that would be some crazy stuff, because you can already tell that she's gonna be insulting people, because Bulma doesn't keep her mouth shut for nobody. She's insulted Frieza, she's insulted Beerus, she's insulted everybody. So
she slapped Beerus, like,
she slapped Beerus, like, and you know what the crazy part is? She got away with it too. So that takes a lot of balls. So I'm pretty sure she's gonna look at Black and she's gonna look at Zamasu and be like, "Oh God, like, you guys are pathetic." She's gonna trash talk him. But I think that she's there for more of a pivotal reason. So in order for the immortality concept to be destroyed, do you feel as if they need the Dragon Balls? Because I really doubt that, despite how high Goku might go in power, despite how high Trunks might go in power, even if by some mere chance, by the miracle of God, even if they have fusion, right? Let's say Vegito, Gogeta, even if they were brought in and you were to fight Zamasu, you can do anything you want to that dude. He's still going to be alive because of that wish. So do you feel as if, in order to truly defeat him, we need the Dragon Balls to remove that wish from, like, to remove that wish that he made? That way he's vulnerable, because while he's immortal, he's not vulnerable. But if you take that away, he's vulnerable as fuck, because he would be the first one to go down. And we all know that. Black would be holding his own, but Zamasu would be the first one to go down. So do you think that the Dragon Ball concept is not yet over with, or do you think that Bulma is there to simply round up everybody and get everybody calm and just, you know, do more of a different role than just going out there and finding knowledge as to what's going on?
Well, check this out. I think not the leaks, but actually the text that was up for the upcoming episodes, I read it online today. It mentioned that Bulma went there. Actually, nobody knew. The only person who felt uneasy was Trunks. Everybody else is pretty confident that, well, Beerus is right as to what he said.
Right.
Bulma, I believe I read that she brought, like, capsules with food and stuff like that for the resistance and things like that, for mine everybody. And then we have an episode called, I think it was Trunks' Superpower or something like that. Maybe something happens to Bulma and he powers up. I would say it. Maybe I don't think I'm right. I haven't read the actual leaks or anything like that.
If anything, that probably goes back to the Inheritors of Saiyan Blood episode, to when Vegeta beat him up and he told him, like, Black should not be your only goal. Like, you'll meet others, and you know you should always exceed that. So, do you think that maybe because of that beatdown, he's gained somewhat of a Zenkai boost? Or, because, you know, I don't want to see Super Saiyan Blue be achieved so easy, because, dude, Goku and Vegeta went through a lot to get that, and having Trunks achieve that just so mediocre, like I wouldn't be satisfied, because, dude, Goku and Vegeta went through so much training, months and months on Whis' and Beerus' planet to get that. It'll be cool to see a third Super Saiyan Blue, but I don't see it happening. What I think is going to happen is maybe he hits his pinnacle, at least as of right now, and definitely supplies like some sort of backup to Goku and Vegeta while the fight's going on. Do I think he's going to transform into Super Saiyan Blue? I really doubt it, but, like, what's your take on that?
It's a possibility. Here's why. If we look at Trunks' character and how they designed him, right? Or future Trunks, at least, not present Trunks. Well, actually, let me just bring this up real quick. Vegeta pretty much gave him a pep talk, right? But then we see in this episode, he's down again. He's sad. Oh my, I left you, oh my God. And then Mini Trunks, who I believe him and Beerus are the best characters of that episode. Mini Trunks ends up talking to Trunks like Vegeta, which is something I was really glad to see, because Trunks has never been that the Mini Trunks, baby Trunks, hasn't been the character to really, talk like that or even present himself that way. But he pretty much said, yo, like, oh, it's no wonder you can't protect her if you're acting like that. Pretty much saying anything that's necessary to trigger Trunks emotionally. And if we look at Trunks' character and how he was brought up, how he even achieved his Super Saiyan abilities to begin with, Gohan died. Again, emotional.
Emotional disturbance,
If you look at the episode, the upcoming one, where it's Trunks' superpower, maybe, I don't want to say Bulma dies or something happens, but maybe she gets threatened, or maybe something happens that where it forces Trunks again to emotionally outbreak to a point where he reaches a new height. If anything, if he does reach Super Saiyan Blue, I would see that being the only way to do it, other than training, because Saiyans have a habit of, like, Goku explained to Gohan in the Cell Saga. I don't want to say that they're going to recycle that concept, but he explained the way to unlock your inner power or do anything as a Saiyan or get stronger. Unlike the way Vegeta does, but the way Goku does it, he uses his relationship, he uses his emotions, he channels them, and then eventually it just gathers up into this big thing until eventually it explodes and you reach a new, pinnacle of power. I would see that, if anything, if Trunks were able to reach Super Saiyan Blue, I would see that being his way to do it. It would be an emotional outbreak, I think. As far as anything else, as far as now, if we talk about Bulma being there, again, it mentions that she wasn't really aware, nobody was really aware that Black and Zamasu would even be there. So, you know, I think after Trunks, it's gonna come down to those three characters, Trunks, Vegeta, and Goku. But I think Trunks achieving a higher pinnacle of power. I don't see him going Super Saiyan 3. I don't see him going, you know, Ultra Super Saiyan 2 or something like that. It would be Super Saiyan Blue. I think it has to be Super Saiyan Blue. Maybe. I think it's a possibility, but if he does achieve it, again, it has to be through emotional distress, because every time we see Trunks in this series or even in any...
He's gone through a lot, man.
Exactly. He's gone through some crap, and every time he's gone through some crap, he powered up or he did something and it made him stronger. And he's just a very emotional character.
I mean, it's undoubtable that we're nearing the end of this arc, and it kind of sucks because the whole summer we've all been talking about who is what and what's going on in Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan White and Super Saiyan Rose and all these things.
Oh, and that, do you think Super Saiyan? Do you see a Super Saiyan White?
I can't really say for sure if we're ever gonna see anything go beyond Super Saiyan Blue, because I reckon some time ago Vegeta kind of mentioned to Goku like, hey, so we're kind of nearing our peak here. We need to sort of like, you know, do something about this. In terms of there being another transformation, possibly. I mean, is it in the realm of possibility? Yeah. I mean, you can't really say that it's impossible, but it would take a lot. I think. Like, I think that similar to how Krillin got killed by Frieza when Goku was there, and similar to how, you know, like all these things, like there needs to be something very, very just critical for there to be somewhere of like a chance of Goku or somebody else achieving another transformation. Now, in terms of like in terms of Black and Super Saiyan Rose, I think it fits him, and it sucks to say because I still feel as if maybe we have about 10 more episodes until we hit like the be-all end-all finale, which I'm really curious to see, because we all want to know how this is gonna end, and so many of us have been speculating and discussing and doing all sorts of stuff. But I think that as we're nearing the final battle, there are things that need to be just carefully paid attention to, because if a lot of people tend to miss dialogue and like simple things that have been happening, because if you look back on certain episodes like 5, 6, 7 episodes ago, there are things that were said and done that reflect the current episodes. So people just need to pay attention more to the dialogue and to what's going on, because everything has meaning in Dragon Ball Super, I think, as we progress on forward. So I think that it's going to be a terrific way to see Black and Zamasu die, depending on how they die. But either way, like, any final words before we go here?
Again, I'm going to stick by my whole, if Zamasu dies, that's how it's going to be. I see Black Goku being the final battle, if anything. I don't see it being a 2-on-2 or like a team battle, if anything. It's always been a 1-on-1. When it came down to it, it's always been one villain, one major power. Doesn't matter how he got there. It's always going to be one thing, one pinnacle of power versus 50 of the good guys. And we all know the good guys are going to come out on top eventually. As far as that, after that, most likely, I feel like maybe we can agree, maybe we disagree. We're going to get the Omniverse tournament. I feel like, but just before that, if anything, it might be the Honor King's responsibility to, if anything, place a ban on time traveling at all. Maybe destroy the time rings as a whole, because it wouldn't make sense to have this happen again. Obviously, we won't get another series of Dragon Ball, but to really for it to make sense, it would be, I think, important for them to end it, or for the storyline to make sense, where you put a ban or you just destroy time rings as a whole, to prevent stuff like this from happening again. Because I think we're going to see Black abusing the time ring. And that's why he does all the things he does. That's why he was able to kill all the gods of destructions by traveling. And if anything, time traveling, by taking advantage of their Kaioshins. I don't see him fighting gods of destructions one-on-one. We've only been shown 2 gods of destructions, and the only 2 gods we've been shown were Champa and Beerus, who happen to be brothers. Everybody else we haven't seen. But as far as, that would be the correct way to end it, I think. Then obviously we're going to go into the Omniverse tournament. But other than that, I don't, it's going to be exciting. I'm really excited to see what happens. I would encourage everybody else to actually maybe leave you comments or leave you their speculations, and actually pay attention. I mean, that this guy really does actually talk to his subscribers, and I'm proof of that. So I would encourage all of you, the audience, to actually engage with him, give him your ideas, let him know what's going on, what you think it might be. And believe it or not, he does read his comments, and he does engage with his community, with his fan base. So
And I appreciate, I really appreciate that a
yeah.
lot. And again, guys,
Oh,
I will
yeah.
link Emish's Twitter down below in case you guys want to talk to him more or less about Dragon Ball. Just let him know what's up. And I do want to say thank you all for watching. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more daily content. If you guys enjoyed the discussion, make sure to slap a like on the video, guys. If you guys have any suggestions, opinions of your own, comment them down below. Thank you all for watching. Once again, myself and Emish will return. And on that note, everybody, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all later. Take it easy, guys. Peace.
Take care, everyone. Later.